The SPL will decide on Monday whether Hearts will continue to play in the top tier. A board meeting will look at the implications of Hearts owners declaring themselves insolvent. It could mean a points deduction and therefore relegation for the Tynecastle club. Nick Rugby reports.
Hearts' future has been in the balance since Vladimir Romanov's finances collapsed. Yesterday, UBIG, his holding company with 79% of Hearts' shares, declared itself insolvent. At a board meeting on Monday, the SPL will decide whether the financial problems at the club will mean punishment. What the lawyers of the SPL must decide is whether, under their rules, what's happened at UBIG is classed as an insolvency event. That's basically where the club or its parent company runs into financial difficulties. Now, if the insolvency is ratified in Lithuania before the end of our football season, then an 18-point deduction could come into play. That would mean Hearts relegated from the SPL, playing their football in the First Division while Dundee would stay up in the top flight. Though there is still a debt to be paid to the banks, Hearts can argue that they exist without funding from UBIG, therefore not reliant on them for survival.
The SPL rules are what they are. I'm not sure they're as black and white as people perhaps are speculating that they might be. If the Scottish Premier League can work out what's going on in Lithuania, they're certainly a step ahead of most commentators. So it is very, very complex, and I just hope it doesn't turn into a legal dogfight like what we've seen in previous instances. So it is quite uncertain for the fans, but it does just narrow this cone that says to the fans that we have an opportunity to buy this club, to get it back into the ownership of the fans of the football club.
But there is more than just relegation at stake, according to those who have been following the financial machinations at Tynecastle.
Certainly, if either administrator of UBIG gets appointed or the administrator of UKO Bankos calls in the debt that's due to either of those companies, Hearts will not be able to pay it, and that would force the administration of Hearts, the football club.
To simplify the story, the future of Hearts sits now in the hands of lawyers and Lithuanian courts. Nick Rugby, STV News.
But before then, here's Keith with today's Sports Desk.
Yeah, thanks again, Juliet. Well, as we were hearing earlier on in the programme, Hearts will learn their fate on Monday when the SPL will decide whether the Gorgie club will start next season in the top tier of Scottish football or relegate them to the First Division. Well, we cross live now to Tynecastle, where Andy Chambers joins us. Andy.
Yes, Keith, as you say, Monday is the day where Hearts fans will find out the full implications of events in Lithuania. That's the day when SPL lawyers will present their findings to a board meeting, which will determine, amongst other things, whether Hearts will be playing SPL or First Division football next season. Now, that, of course, will have ramifications not just for this club, but for the SPL as a whole. Here's what Celtic manager Neil Lennon had to say about it earlier today.
Well, you're losing probably the third biggest club. You know, we've already lost the second biggest, so it doesn't look good. I haven't got a crystal ball. I don't know what sort of damage it'll do to the SPL, but there will be a lot of outcry from it, you know, and Hearts have decent support for a club in Scotland, and to lose that would be pretty damaging.
Now, Dundee currently stand to be relegated after finishing bottom of the SPL this campaign, but if UBIG's insolvency is ratified in Lithuania before the end of the current campaign on Sunday, then Hearts could be deducted 18 points, meaning they would be relegated to Division 1 in place of Dundee. Now, more likely is that Hearts could go into administration after Sunday, after the end of this season. That would mean next campaign they would remain in the SPL but start with a deficit of 15 points. So obviously that could mean a huge task ahead for Gary Locke, with many of the most experienced players, many of the high earners leaving over the summer. One small point to point out is that Hearts travel to Aberdeen for the final game of this season tomorrow. If they win that game, perversely it could be a negative for next season. They could end up with a 16-point deficit as a percentage of this year's total. So interesting to see what happens tomorrow. But Keith, all Hearts fans' minds will be on are the events on Monday.
Yes, and a difficult situation all round. Thanks very much.